Hello, my hummingbird friends. It's been a while since we spoke. Perhaps I should call you the Hummingbird Collective. Anyway, let's see what we have for you today. Your page is hiding from me. There it is. Hummingbird. Positive, enthusiastic, spiritually resourceful. Inside the tiny hummingbird resides an endless well of energy and positivity. The hummingbird's secret is that it has learned where to gather nectar, and it returns to those sources daily for nourishment and rejuvenation. This sacred elixir springs from many sources, but usually involves nature, creativity, and exploring spirituality. Follow the way of the hummingbird, and you cannot go wrong. Every droplet of life becomes sweet, every moment worth savoring. When in balance, curious, loves to learn. When out of balance, pushy, insistent, sharp. To bring into balance, take a class. Interesting. I think you have regular self-care practices that you do on a daily basis or near daily basis that help you to recover, rejuvenate, as it said, and replenish your energy and really help you to be yourself. Now then, moving on. These 6 cards, of course, are to help you identify whether or not this is your reading. First, we have the gong, which is heralding exciting events. Exciting can go either way, of course. And unfortunately, you have shield next to it, which is you need to defend yourself. So this is not the right kind of excitement, perhaps. Then we have arrow. You are on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. And the arrow is pointing directly at the pineapple. Reconciliation. That's interesting. Okay, next we have the grasshopper. Situations in the balance that require careful handling. So this is more than one situation, although the wealth card is next to the grasshopper. And of course, we all know the story of the ant and the grasshopper. I think we do anyway. So the grasshopper has a history of not tending or preparing for the future. And in the winter, that results in the grasshopper starving, where the ant has prepared and stored all kinds of food so that they can get through the winter without starving. For those of you who don't know the story of the ant and the grasshopper, I think it might be a fable. In any case, maybe that story has some meaning for you. So we have something going on that requires you to defend yourself. But you are headed in the right direction, on the right path, regarding some aspect of your life, possibly a reconciliation. And situations in the balance that require careful handling, we have wealth next to that. So there may be something going on monetarily that you should be preparing for, whether you know it or not. And what are you needing to defend yourself about? All right, so there's a lot going on there. However, I first want to see what the universe's perspective is on what's going on with you. This is, these first 6 cards are to help you identify whether or not this is your reading. What comes out next is not your perspective necessarily. So you may not really agree with them at first, or need to give it some thought. We'll see. Don't give it too much thought. It should make sense to you. So you or the person on your mind may be very active online or somehow in the spotlight. And about to experience some sort of insight or breakout. This is interesting. Definitely a breakout of some kind of success, a revolution. But we have the whip here, and that is, whips, of course, were used to force action. So whatever, you may have felt forced to take action about something. Your own development, perhaps. But what is this round table? I mean, on the one hand, we have equality, collaboration, team project, and on the other hand, we have this white wolf, which is confidence, guidance. Maybe you are preparing to become a leader. Learning to trust your inner knowing, believing in your own power, yourself, your instincts. It's definitely a self-development element there. All right, now we have resources, finances, prosperity, and soul connections. Prosperity and soul connections. Okay. Not something I would... All right, I'm going to have to do some clarifying here because... prosperity and soul connections don't really go together. Not that they're completely separate, but a soul connection is not about money. This is definitely about money. A soul connection has a lot to do with spiritual and emotional growth, self-cultivation, which may or may not lead to any sort of material prosperity. Five of Swords. Self-sabotage. King of Wands in reverse. And the Devil. So, the Devil is also in reverse. This is good news because the Devil in the upright is about bad habits, vices, addictions, illusions, and delusions. A belief that you are bound when you, in fact, are not. So in reverse, it's possible these things are worse. But it's also possible that you are seeing the truth of the situation, that you are recognizing the need to deal with your bad habits, vices, addictions. I don't know why I went blank there. It's also possible that you recognize that you do have the power to act. You do have the power to do something about all of this. But we do have this King of Wands in reverse, so this is someone who is selfish. They don't really want to hear what other people have to say. They want to do things their way. So very strong-willed, but not a listener. And this has definitely led to some self-sabotage. Definitely not collaboration. So where did this... under here we have... or which one? Underneath here somewhere we have the card for collaboration, the Round Table. So the Round Table, there's no leader. Where this King of Wands, even in the upright, likes to be the leader. And in the reverse, I think they demand to be the leader. They're not a reasonable person. And they would not be receptive to being told that they are self-destructive, which is what the Five of Swords is about. Again, the Five of Swords is in reverse, so perhaps you are learning to do something about your self-destructive tendencies. And again, the other possibility is that the self-destructive tendencies have gotten worse. Now, a soul connection tends to make all of this kind of stuff very, very obvious. So it's not really surprising to see that. I'm still not clear on why you have prosperity, finances linked to this soul connection. We have the Ancestors card. It's unique to this deck, and I'm not really sure how to interpret it. So for those of you who believe that your ancestors are looking out for you or having an influence on your life in some way, that may have meaning. Now we have the Eight of Pentacles, the grind card. Grinding away, doing the work, except this is in a crossing position, suggesting not doing the work. So the Eight of Pentacles, this is a really big part of self-cultivation, this grind phase. You just keep showing up and doing the work. And it takes time, it takes precision, it takes practice, lots and lots of practice, and it doesn't happen overnight. It can be very tedious, very boring, and there will be long phases where it seems like nothing is being accomplished. You're grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding, and you're not seeing much result. So it's frustrating. So do you have the patience and the persistence to persevere? And on top of that, we have the Four of Wands in reverse. So I tend to see this as a community that is not supportive. This could be a toxic community. So this is family and friends, lifelong friends. People who have been around you, could be your culture. Depending if you have that kind of a culture, where you just have a solid group of family and friends around you, but unfortunately they are not supportive. And maybe that's how you feel about your ancestors, that they would not like or recognize what you're doing. Okay, so you're definitely feeling the need to protect yourself. Well, that showed up first thing, didn't it? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm just... Here it is. You need to defend yourself. You need to defend yourself. So that's what you're feeling right now. And it looks like you're right. You do not feel like you are in a supportive environment. Definitely not something that would be receptive to this kind of a situation. But perhaps it is very much tied to your finances. That does make it challenging. So somehow it looks like you need to untie your finances from this community that is not supporting your development. Put this aside for the moment. Okay? Whether or not you end up with that person is not really the question. The question is, who are you going to be? Who are you going to become? Are you going to be this hummingbird person? You're doing self-care, but you're in a community that is sabotaging your efforts at self-care. This is not good. Self-care, self-development, self-cultivation, all of those things are probably foreign to this community. They may not be accepting of it. They may be actively undermining you. So you're going to have to really, really develop your own internal guidance. Trust your own inner knowing. Believe in your power. Trust your instincts so that you can free yourself from this. And that is going to be really challenging. So I get that this may be hard for you to ignore. It may feel all-consuming sometimes. But the more you do this work, this self-cultivation work, the better you will be able to focus on building a life that you want to live. And that's really the primary goal. You want to have a life that you want to live, that you feel good about, that restores and rejuvenates and replenishes you. And right now, you probably feel like you're in the midst of a very tangled web. And you are going to have to do a lot of work to get yourself untangled. I did see the yarn card come out. Well, it didn't really come out. It tried to come out from this deck. And that is when you are in the midst of a big tangle of everything. Like being in a caught in a web. Maybe you feel like you're caught in a web. That would not be pleasant. Huh. All right. So you feel like you're on a quest to rise up from the ashes and completely transform yourself, your life. That's big. It's you're doing the work, though. I mean, this hummingbird, you're the hummingbird. So you've been learning how to take care of yourself. You are on this quest. You are on track to rise up from the ashes as someone completely different. And for now, you may be stuck in your current situation with this unsupportive community and needing to defend yourself. This is perhaps a time when you just need to keep quiet and don't draw attention to yourself, to what you are doing. It's a time of a lot of inner work, which it's not going to show up externally for a while. Eventually it will. But while you're doing the inner work, you really don't have to talk about it to anyone else. You don't have to make it visible to anyone else. And considering you've gotten 2 cards here about defending yourself, the best way to defend yourself is to just keep your cards close to your chest, so to speak. And have faith. You are on this quest. You are headed in the right direction. It says know where you're going. I don't think you do know that. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to have faith. And where you end up will most likely be somewhere you never, ever imagined you could possibly go. So there's not much point in focusing on your ideas because they are limited. They were created from this, remember? So they're not going to include all the possibilities. So by keeping your mind open, by not trying to be too attached to any particular outcome, you leave room for something that's probably much greater than anything you could have imagined. Yeah. You're not supposed to know. For now, it's hidden. Hidden things. The unknown. I know. The grind phase is not fun, especially when you don't know where you're headed, what it's going to look like. Is it really worth all the effort? You just have to have faith that where you're headed is better than where you are. I'm sure it is. Keep going. You'll get there. I am wishing you all the best.